putting together the WKAR auction on Lansing Live.
Rock star Ted Nugent knocks him dead with his wild music videos. But it's this video that has some people up in arms. They claim that Rock's bad boy is making wildlife snuff films. Nugent doesn't seem to care what they think.
It could have been whiskey. It could have been drugs. But no, I was a teenage gut pile addict. There, I've said it. Fine.
For some, these videos have turned the rock legend into a hunting hero. For others, he's a hunting horror.
You know, if Elvis Presley would have just got his hands bloody up to his elbows once, twice a year, he'd be with us today.
Well, Ted is here today to face his critics. First, I want you to meet some of Ted's supporters. This is Joanne Awney. She is a former Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. She is now the woman's editor for Guns and Ammo magazine. Says she once killed a caribou with a handgun for the challenge. And Barbara Sands is a hunter and a writer. She says if the animal rights groups have their way, they'll turn the country into vegetarians and weaken the human race. On the other side of this issue is the world-renowned author and founder of Fun for Animals, Cleveland Amory, and he is joined by Mary Beth Sweetland. She hates hunting so much she spent 8 days in jail for breaking a law called hunter harassment. And finally, Wayne Pacelli. Wayne says that Ted Nugent is plainly repulsive and represents the worst of humanity. I think we're going to start with Ted. I have to be honest, I don't take sides. I'm appalled at what I just saw. Just appalled. And my question is, do you understand why people are so upset about those videos? Do you understand?
Yes, I really do, Sally, and I probably understand why you're upset too, because people in society are so removed from their daily lives that they don't have the honesty nor the compassion to backtrack their chicken McNuggets and watch them die. So they pretend for their convenient ignorance that it didn't transpire. But ladies and gentlemen, they died for your dinner. And anybody who objects to that line of reasoning is a little weird.
Did you eat that boar?
Did I eat? Well, of course, that's all my family eats, is what I kill. Everything that my mom and dad brought me up to respect the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule and to make sure my dinner was dead before I ate it.
What about a video?
And I find that by doing it myself, I'm a more honest, understanding individual of just what wildlife management and my God-given participation in the planet consists of. And I think that vegetarianism is fine, but I certainly don't think that a person's integrity or psyche is dictated by their diet, because Jim Jones, Adolf Hitler, some of my favorite vegetarians, and of course there was always Charles Manson. These are some of my favorite vegetarians, and I wouldn't think that my guitar player in the damn Yankees by the name of Tommy Shaw is a vegetarian, but he's an honorable, family, conscientious citizen, and I would never criticize him for his diet, and we get along just fine. I'm taking him cabbage hunting next week, in fact. So
when
I don't understand how that is appalling.
When they make a video like that.
Pardon me?
When they make a video like that, I was told that you had to kill, or how many were killed?
Well, let me explain the video. First of all, Sally, I want you to understand that that video is certainly not a hunting video. That was Ted and his new wife, Shemaine, going out on a hunting moon and getting some chow. And I, quite frankly, wasn't being a hunter in most of the scenes. I mean, if Elvis Presley would have got his hands bloody, he'd be with us today. No truer words were spoken, by the way. But I was being a smartass, and I was a wonderful one, I might mention. And I was being funny, and the reason that video was let out, because it was just a home video, it's not a professionally produced video, Rocco loves it, is because a bunch of my buddies laughed, and I love when people laugh, and I love when people enjoy themselves. And so I ended up putting it out, and we've sold a bunch of them because people wanted it. It's America.
So I'm hearing from you that all of this is a joke. No one's to take it serious.
Oh, no. The silly thing about being silly is a joke, but wildlife management is very serious, and I'd be willing to discuss either topic, either my being a smartass or hunting, because the two aren't the same.
Well, I think we can already agree.
Did anyone call on you, sir?
No, I'm just asking.
You know, when Ted was on the BBC recently, he took the BBC people to this Renegade Ranch. It's a fenced-in preserve.
No, I didn't go to the Renegade Ranch.
In Texas. Well, it's perhaps another fenced-in preserve that you go to. And
No,
the
that's not
BBC
true
reporter
either.
said that he killed 7 wild pigs in a single day with bow and arrow. Now, bow and arrow is
With
a
11 hunters.
primitive weapon. It's a primitive weapon. More than half of the animals that are hit by bow and arrow escape and are
That's not true.
by the
Sally,
hunters. Those are
Now, wait
from
just a
state
minute.
wildlife
That's not true.
agencies.
I
I'll
read
tell
it
you-
in a book
I'll tell you
What
where
we
it's
have
from.
to do here is...
I've got 170 bow kills in my next book. It's called Blood Trails, The Truth About Bow Hunting. I'll sign a copy for you, Cleve, babe. And
You'd be
my
wasting.
animal's death transpires in an average of 5.6 seconds. The last human being under the most technically advanced conditions flopped around in the electric chair for 11 minutes. I kill my animals far more humanely
you can talk and you can have your
McNuggets or
nonsense.
anything like that.
Look at his video. The animals are flopping around. He shot one in the spine. He shot. If you just let me finish, he had his.
We have to talk one at a time or the mics can't.
He shot one animal from 80 or 90 yards away. It went through the spine. The animal dashed into the woods. We didn't see any more of the animal. He also, out of season, shot a yearling doe with a fawn right beside in the spine. The animal was flopping around. It's right on your video. You're a liar, Ted.
Wayne, you're a liar. Wayne, you're a liar, and you've had too many LSD samplings in your life. The truth is that I was on a private ranch.
What was the LSD reference?
Well, the LSD reference is because the people that have been protesting my concert recently have had signs that said, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, Ted, not bow hunting. And I propose that most of these animal rights people have gone down the scale of drug and alcohol abuse to such an abyss that this is how they're basing this insane equation.
Let him talk.
Let him talk. He's great.
I don't do drugs, and I don't have to
You know,
murder
it's very-
animals.
Do you eat meat, though?
No, I do not.
Yes,
Okay.
in Ted's
You
world.
have that right.
Sally-
But what about all the other people that eat meat? Do they think that somehow a cow just falls over and dies?
Well, one
and then
difference
it gets
is
butchered?
people don't go out and maliciously go and shoot
I
animals,
don't
and then
maliciously
gleefully
shoot
Ted
animals.
Nugent does.
Are you gonna
Ted
tell
Nugent
me?
does.
Are you going to tell me?
Ted
I
Nugent
spent
goes out.
4 hours climbing up a mountain in Alaska sheep hunting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I sweat,
terrific.
I carried my gear and got close enough to the animal to kill it to make a challenge. Clean kill, one shot. It was dead.
What is
it
a
wasn't
clean...
bloody, it wasn't
I know you're an advocate of... But by the way, we do have to talk one at a time. I know you're an advocate of something called a clean kill. Will you explain that to us?
I as well.
one shot. The animal dies. Now, obviously...
In other
when
words,
your
every
system-
time you hunt, you're able to kill an animal like that with one shot.
Not always, no.
So what happens when you don't do that?
Then you shoot it again to make sure
If
it's
you're
dead.
lucky enough to find the
If
animal.
that animal hasn't run
you're
off
lucky
into
That's
the
the whole
woods to
point of
suffer and
hunting.
die.
The hunter does not like the bloodletting.
Oh,
That is not
here,
why the
talk to
hunter
your-
goes.
look at the person to your left.
How many animals have you hunted?
Look
okay?
at the
How
or
many
seen
animals have you
killed.
hunted?
Or
Look
seen
at-
killed.
I have hunted animals, so I can tell you from my point of view what I get out of hunting. It's not seeing an animal flopping around there dying, okay?
Sally.
We do everything in our power to keep them
I
from that
enjoy the challenge for me to be a good enough shot that I don't have to shoot again. Do you think me as a hunter wants to go out and say, yeah, let me tell you, it took 4 shots for me to get that deer down?
Sally, in this
That's
society-
an
in this
insult
All right,
to
let
my
her talk.
ability as
Let
a
her talk
hunter.
for a minute.
As a hunter, I want to make sure I take the time, I have the presence of mind, I have the control to well place the shot, to make sure there's no debris, no trees, whatever, so that the bullet makes a fair hit and kills the game. No, it doesn't always happen that way, but I damn sure make sure that it's dead. If I have to track it, yes, I will track it, and that's what happens.
Sally, in this
That's what
society-
happens when you
See,
talk about wounded. You act like they go off into the bushes, never to be seen again, and die this miserable, horrible death. We go and we stalk and we find them and kill them. Nobody wants to lose meat. No hunter wants to lose it. They go and hunt for
Okay,
it.
I
And
think you've said it
everybody
enough.
with the,
If you'll now,
no,
you know,
I don't
give
think
us
so.
one.
I don't think so.
Wait. You have to
It's
understand.
okay to drag a cow by a lead rope and knock it
Why
on
don't
the
you go
head.
back
and
to
put
the
it on the
Dallas?
Start
bridle
cheerleading.
line.
All right,
Better
wait,
than that.
wait.
That's fine.
Wait.
You don't know what
Let
you're talking about.
me explain that a lot of us, and I'm trying to phrase this in a way that it is not a sexist statement, gentlemen. A lot of us kind of think of hunting as very male. I hope that's not too sexist. We are fascinated by women who are dedicated to hunting. We have two with us today. What I'm trying to establish, since I don't understand it myself, is for a female the lure of what they're doing. So I'd like them, if and you haven't said very much.
Right.
Explain to me.
First of all, I don't think that people honestly realize that the supermarket is one step away from the slaughterhouse.
No, but
We
I'm
are
trying to
very
get, I'm not
civilized here in
talking
the city.
sociologically,
Okay.
I'm trying to get the
All
joy
right.
of hunting.
All right. My husband Larry always loved hunting and fishing, and when we were married, he wanted me to go with him everywhere. And he said to me, Barbara, a woman can do anything that a man can do. And I did. And we have gone all over the world hunting, and we've had a great time.
So, Barbara, do
both
I
hunting and
understand
fishing.
your interest in hunting is purely because it's a together activity with your husband?
And because I'm a woman, and I can do this. And
Okay,
I have
but
been
it
in hunting
isn't-
camps and I'm the only woman there, and hunters are wonderful, and they're gentlemanly, and I've never heard an off-color remark, and I've had a wonderful time.
You
And
haven't
over
read
the
some of
weekend,
Ted's stuff, huh?
I made Texas chili with venison. I don't know how many people in the audience love chili, but I love it. And Texas chili
If your husband, would you hunt by yourself?
Well, now I would, because I love it, because he has, you know, his enjoyment of it is infectious. Hunting is very exciting,
But I'm trying to find out what you find exciting.
the chase.
Okay, explain it to me. I'm really open.
Well,
we're all
one of
open
my
to this.
favorite forms of hunting is turkey hunting, spring turkey hunting. And I sit in a tree, and it's dark. It's very dark, and you go in it at night.
You see people
You
laugh
think
'cause
it's
they've
funny
never done
sitting
it.
in the woods?
Fantastic.
The whole idea of being outdoors is being close to the animals, and it's perfectly dark outside and very silent. And
Sally.
the first thing that you
No,
hear
let
is
her-
an owl. And the owl starts hooting, and then you hear another owl talking to each other. And then the turkeys flop down from their roots because they're very clumsy animals, and they flop around, and they start squawking. And I scratch on my slate, and I'm a hen turkey. And I'm talking to this lovesick gobbler, because there's a lot of lovesick gobblers in the woods. And I'm talking to him, and he talks back to me. And I haven't gotten a spring turkey yet, but I try every year. And once I got a turkey in the fall, and he was very good. I enjoyed eating him.
Besides a turkey, what else have you killed?
I've killed deer, I've killed bear, but I eat everything.
What
eat
kind
all
of bears
Do
did
you
you kill?
stuff their heads?
Do you stuff
Yes,
bears' heads?
yes.
Okay, taxidermy them. A really noble
Right, it's
profession.
something wrong with an Oscar?
Well, I
Everybody's
like
a
my
hunter.
mother. I
No,
like my
everybody
mother,
is
but
a
I
hunter.
keep a
Everybody that
photo
works
of
for
her.
a
I
living
don't
is a
stuff her
hunter because they
head.
put food on the
Mother's
table.
not a turkey, I hope.
Sally, in this society, we've already banned bullfighting because it's human.
Wait.
Where?
I know you want to say your piece.
Yes.
I was just trying to clue into the femininity or whatever it was, but I think I understand being with your husband doing that. But you on your own have killed a bear and Bambi and all of that. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and smelly bow hunters. It's the dead of winter. The dead of winter. I like the sound of that. And I'm contributing to the dead of winter.
We're talking about hunting and hunting videos. And I said, Wayne, that we would get right to you. Barbara asked a question. I don't know if the audience heard it going into a break. She wants to know the credentials, or what was your question to our
I
panel?
want to know what these people have done for animals, because hunters and wildlife management over the years have increased the number of animals. We are involved in actual animal survival. There were originally 100,000 wild turkeys in this country. Now there are 4 million. There are deer all over the place. It's beautiful to see
No,
deer.
she's
in the
absolutely
woods.
mistaken.
And
There were
what-
not 100,000 turkeys. There were 100,000 turkeys, perhaps at the turn of the century, after market hunters and sport
there was
hunters
none.
wiped them out. For a few species, hunters have increased the numbers of them precisely because they want to practice their sixth form of
Not
recreation, which is shooting them.
Not
The general picture is very bleak. We have 3,000 to 6,000 species in this country who should be threatened or endangered under the Endangered Species Act, but they're not getting attention because the state wildlife agencies are merely game production agencies for clowns like these people who go out and satisfy their sick idea of recreation by shooting animals with rifles shotguns, handguns, muzzleloaders, and bows and arrows. It's an arsenal of weapons that leads to 200 million animals being killed every year in the United States. The #1 game species in the U.S. is the mourning dove. There are 50 million mourning doves killed every year in the U.S. These are gentle and inoffensive birds. No responsible ecologist would ever say these animals are overpopulating. But in September, people like Ted Nugent go out and get 15 a day, and then they go out the next day and shoot 15, et cetera, et cetera. It's target
One
practice.
of you is a bird hunter, right? You're the bird hunter?
I bird hunt as well.
Well, do you eat the birds?
Yes.
Oh,
Sure.
that is delicious.
The birds?
Yeah.
Pheasants, quail,
Cleveland,
grouse,
you
woodcock,
answer
snipe.
Barbara's question. Your organization,
Well,
what has it done for animals?
I first met Sally many, many years ago in Puerto Rico when she had a radio show. And she was a lovely girl, and she was barefoot.
Still lovely.
She couldn't read or write, but she had a lovely voice, and I've loved her ever since.
God bless her.
And she saw the Fun for Animals working at that time in Puerto Rico on spaying and neutering, which is a boring subject, but it's a very important subject because so many animals are killed unnecessarily in shelters. We're now working in Mexico where we may affect thousands and thousands, maybe 100,000 animals this year. That's only one part of our program.
But what about
the
wild
other part of our program is telling people what hunters, trappers, poisoners are like. Fortunately today, we have such a textbook answer that all people have to do is see him. I am no psychiatrist, but I wish that Ted and his charming guests here, when the people with the white coat come, would go quietly. Because
Now I'm the only one who knows you well enough to say
I don't think
behave.
there's anything wrong with this lovely pregnant young lady. She doesn't need a white coat.
It's only
the
Cleveland,
best,
you guys.
the best
It's only
things
Cleveland.
we could possibly have, Sally. They are so ruthless, so stupid, so silly. They don't stick to any points whatsoever.
What have you done for wild
they have
animals? Nothing.
actually no feeling for the animal. This morning in the paper, in the Wall Street paper,
Okay,
in the Wall Street Journal,
wait.
there was a lovely story about English people going out at this time of year and helping the toads cross the highway. That is caring for animals,
Okay.
not what they're doing.
Over and runs right over.
Sally,
it.
can I-
Hold for a minute.
That's okay.
Cleveland,
right?
it would be
Yeah,
very
it's just
helpful,
fun.
and this lady is quite correct. I want you to say, and I want you to do the litany. Number one, what has Fun for Animals or animal rights groups done? The coyote. Quick. Just give me a quick.
Sally, we supported one example, Prop 117 in California. It permanently banned mountain lion hunting, and it also appropriated $30 million every year to acquire
That's
habitat
one thing.
for the next 30
Talk
years.
to me
And
about the
what's so great
coyote.
about
Species
coyotes?
Act, Marine Mammal Protection
What have you
Act.
done for
Go ahead,
animals?
Cleveland.
That's one.
Right now in Arizona, we're working on a brutal coyote hunt from the air.
Do you know how coyotes kill
always
cats?
these people go out. Whenever there's a problem,
Let's do
the
the
problem
seals.
is to shoot it.
Okay, seals.
The baby seals, litigation, legislation,
The Endangered
education,
Species
and
Act,
confrontation.
we lobbied for that. The Marine Mammal Protection Act, because now we want to protect dolphins and all sorts of other sea
But that's not
mammals.
wild
who are
animals. That has
persecuted.
nothing to do with the animals in the woods.
Is it because of the hunter? No. The animals are endangered because
one's
of
listening. No one's
farming.
listening. Be quiet.
No, you be
Wait a minute.
quiet.
Number
All right,
one.
everybody be quiet.
Number one danger.
Sally just asked Cleveland, and you've answered, I don't know, in numerous times. Let him speak. I mean, are you the puppeteer? I'm sure he can speak for himself.
Do we feel, have we listed what Fun for Animals has
Yeah, I
done?
think we've made amazing. I think since my book, Mankind, came out, which showed, I hope, the horrors of hunting for everybody, we have made enormous progress in stopping all kinds of hunts, in harassing hunters. This brave girl, Mary Beth, went to jail for 8 days.
She broke the law.
She didn't.
Why would anybody want
It
to
is
break
an
the law?
unconstitutional law. We
I
have the
don't believe in
power to
breaking
go
the law.
after hunting, and we're going
They're
after
burying
it.
themselves.
And Ted Nugent is a wonderful spokesman for us because everybody that sees him is either sick or want to join us, one or the other.
If I'm correct, what this young lady did was exercise the right of freedom of speech on public lands, and that's why she went to jail. Am I correct?
Exactly.
So that's what you did.
In the state of Maryland, where I pay taxes, it is illegal for me to go on public lands and talk to hunters. It's perfectly legal for them to whack an arrow through a deer's eye, but but I can't walk up to you in Maryland on public land and
So
say,
why did you do
I
it?
don't want you
Then
to
why did you
whack
do it?
that arrow through
And you also
a
can't
deer's
disrupt
eye.
a family picnic on that
Oh,
state land,
come
too.
on.
Same thing, family activities.
No.
There's laws
What
against
is
it
the
for a reason.
rationale
you're
for
trying
breaking
to
the law? Why would anybody want to break? I believe in the
Because
rule of
it's
law.
a bad law. I
many
have a
people-
First
in your
Amendment
opinion.
right.
In your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. It's the Constitution of the United States that gives me the right to speech.
Doesn't give you the right to go on my property.
There's lots of things that
You can't be heard without a microphone. All right, hands up.
Animal rights terrorists right here in New Jersey have gone on the Wing and Shot Preserve, which was a fenced-off private property. They drove metal stakes into the ground. They put out poison, bait food for the hunting dogs, and they put out leg traps, which are banned in New Jersey for any hunter or trapper. These were the so-called animal rights people that did this.
Sally.
How do you explain that kind of action? If you've got arrested, it's because you got arrested because you broke a law. And it had nothing to do with you exercising your freedom of speech. You broke a law and you got arrested for it.
Everything to
Sally, it's ridiculous that these people, the NRA has been rehashing this story somehow of spikes being left out for hunting dogs. Any self-respecting animal rights person is not going to harm any domestic animal. And it's perfectly absurd for this person to say that that's attributed to animal rights. If we want to talk about harm to innocent people, we can talk about hunters who kill 200 people every year in the United States.
What about
injure more than 1,500 people. There's no...
Okay. We have a license to operate one of the most lethal weapons in the world, and that's an automobile. How much wildlife is destroyed?
Does that justify your killing animals deliberately because some animals are accidentally hit with automobiles?
Is it more humane to let an animal bleed to death on the side of the road than for me to make sure the animal's dead and take him home and eat him? Yes, it is. They don't have to build the highways through the hill country. They don't. It's more humane for a
must talk one at a time. When I raise my hand,
I got a question.
you may say your question.
I want to ask you why she left the Dallas Cowboys.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Leave it to
Circumstances here. It's what is commonly referred to in the gut pile addicts vernacular, a multiple blood trail. Oh, such music to my ears.
I don't exactly understand what gut pile is, but maybe I'll find out by the end of the show.
Okay, well, I won't answer that question, but there was a question asked before, and I don't think it was really answered, and the amount of money raised by sportsmen through permits, licenses, and special permits is on record, and I would like to know what the anti-hunting group, how much money they've donated or have put toward the cause of wildlife management.
Sally, that figure on the hunter side is $8 billion.
Would you like to answer that?
Let's clarify a couple of terms. First, to call people who go out and shoot defenseless animal sportsmen does injustice to the term sport. They're certainly not sportsmen. And they're not wildlife managers. As I was saying before, the general state of wildlife in this country is disastrous. For a few species, such as white-tailed deer and turkeys, they have stocked and they've manipulated the population so they can annually go out and shoot them for their own recreation. National parks, 97% of national wildlife refuges, all the national forests, the Bureau of Land Management, all of that federal land, which is 1/3 of the country, has not been paid for with 1 red cent of direct hunter dollars.
That's a dirty lie. That's a dirty lie.
Can you dispute one
single
single
drugs
element
again?
of that?
Are you back into the drugs again, Wayne?
All right, we're going back to the...
We'll get you on a... If you're saying I use drugs, I'll get you on a libel suit, Ted.
Gentlemen.
I mean, it's getting pretty bad here.
Hi. As a fellow woman, I'm appalled with going out and shooting and killing, but that's your business, and I guess that's your right. I have two questions for you. My first question is, what was the first animal you shot, and how did you feel afterwards?
Are you talking to me, dear?
No, you're
the
not.
two women.
The first animal that I shot was a wild boar, and the meat was delicious, and we made sausages out of it.
How did you feel about that? How did you feel? Were you jubilant, sad, or?
It is very exciting getting your own supper, whether you're hunting or whether you're fishing. And if nobody has tried it, then they really don't know. But it happens to be a lot of fun, and there are a lot of people in this world that enjoy it.
So the first time you shot this boar, you were just like, "Oh, Jesus, help me! I shot a boar. I'm happy. I'm happy." Is that how you felt, or were you sad?
I enjoyed it. Yes.
You enjoyed it.
I wasn't breaking any law.
What about Joanne?
Okay, I will tell you. I enjoy everything about hunting. I enjoy getting up in the morning, listening to the critters. I do.
You shoot them too?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I do shoot some critters,
You
varmints
do.
as
Good
well.
for you.
But
How about
and
the
there is a
cockroach?
moment. Let me speak, please.
I'm just
There is a
asking.
moment after I have killed an animal that I do feel remorse. I think you'd have to be totally heartless if you don't. However, what helps is knowing that my hunting license, my hunting fees, my duck stamp, all go to preserve wetlands. That people that like to farm and eat vegetarian food, they destroy more wetlands have been destroyed by farming, by oil industry, than by any hunter. That is not.
You have not had your chance, so you talk.
You've got your facts wrong.
Just let her finish. You're not on the you're not on the you know, you're not on the football field now. I can see why they let you go. I mean, I can well understand.
They didn't let me go. I was answering a question that I do feel remorse, but I also feel very proud that a lot of the management of wildlife, and if you want to say that the wetland destruction because of farming and because of our overpopulation of the earth is not the main reason why we have extinction of wildlife, you are dead wrong, man.
I used to buy into this, Sally, until in 1988, a member from Virginia called our office and said, the state of Virginia is going to start a tundra swan hunt. Tundra swans are magnificent birds who have been protected by federal law since 1917. They were going to open an experimental hunt and issue 600 licenses to Virginia hunters. I called the director of the Fish and Game and Inland Fisheries in Virginia, and after a long conversation, I said, well, tell me, Mr. Remington, how does swan taste? And he said, you'd have to be crazy to eat a swan.
Why was there
I
a
said,
swan
so you're
hunt?
just
There's a
blowing
reason
them
for a
out of the air for the pleasure of it. And he said, yes, that's right. If you people would only understand that hunting is a primeval urge, everything would be okay.
The reason...
So I was in contact also with an ornithologist at the University of Virginia at the time, and I passed this on to this biologist, ornithologist. And
Swans are not edible, I agree.
He said,
Do you know that
I suppose that if Mr. Remington condones hunting as a primeval urge, he may also condone rape as a primeval urge.
Oh, come on. That's
Can you rape a swan?
That is disgusting. Why do wildlife why do they shake swans' eggs? Because there are too many swans that are destroying duck habitat.
You're talking about mute swans versus tundra swans, ma'am. You don't know what you're talking about. We're talking about tundra
swan lovers.
Have you ever seen an animal starve?
Wayne, swan lovers, for a moment.
Sir, this is directed to you.
Wayne.
Wayne.
Yes.
Hi. You asked the young lady over there earlier, does she stuff the animal's head after she kills him? Well, I have a question for you. They're wearing leather goods and they're hunters, so that's okay. But you seem to be the hypocrite because you say that you're a vegetarian, you eat vegetarian foods, you're an animal rights activist, but yet I see you wearing leather shoes, I see the young lady wearing leather shoes, I see the young gentleman over there wearing leather shoes. So I just want to say, either you're all for it or you're not.
Perhaps it's the distance where you're not able to see, but these fashionable shoes are non-leather products.
He's not wearing any leather. Not wearing any leather on him at all. Any of them are.
And what's more, so let me ask you this. Do you have any leather goods at home?
No.
Did you know that the soap that you wash up with is made from animal fats?
It's so easy these days, Sally, to have alternatives. Just like with fur coats, we don't need to have fur. We don't.
Except in order for him to get his cotton clothing,
we don't need any.
That's not the issue.
That
is not the issue.
Can you keep quiet for
so all these people are evil because they have leather
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, he's so humane.
Sally,
he can give me personal
Sally,
insults, and he's
with
a
fur
real
coats,
gentleman.
it's been established that we don't need them for warmth anymore. We're no longer cave people. We can have stylish, fashionable, warm products. And just like with other products, if you take the time and shop for other items, you don't need to have animal products.
So entire America is somehow evil and disgusting because we all have leather, we all eat chicken, we all have Thanksgiving turkeys.
The whole country?
No
Are you
one's
against
saying
the world?
All of you who are without a
That's exactly
microphone.
what you're saying.
No,
he is
all of you who are
because in order for him to get his cotton shirt, somebody's got to spray a field and kill mice and kill squirrels and kill bugs.
Sally,
there's murder. There's murder in Wayne's past. There's killing in Wayne's past.
Sally, either way.
Wayne's a small game hunter,
Sally,
but he still kills them.
Sally, either way they'd have it. If I had leather shoes, they'd say you're a hypocrite. If I don't have them, they say I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd.
There's death in everyone's past.
Cows are killed for being
There
so.
is.
Wayne, are you against
What do they
farming?
do with the hides?
Is
I
the
mean,
fact
that's not the
that
point.
other people care about things that are underneath us, such as animals, the underdog that symbolizes
And they are
the
So what have you
underdog.
done for them?
And doing something for these
I do
who
things
can't
for
do
my-
it for themselves.
They have
pleases us.
43 pieces of
Pleases us.
legislation, raised millions of dollars, and preserved 3 out of thing species. If he hasn't made that clear, it is
It hasn't
absolutely
been clear
true.
at all.
Okay, you want to
Well,
come
they haven't
backstage
seen-
with me,
Sally,
and I'll give you the list of all the things accomplished since
Louis
1956.
Reagan in the Fund for
In
Animals
19
Aside-
involved in the listing of 170 endangered species. So
Yeah.
please stop.
Aside from that, they've done what we substantiate a great
Sally,
deal.
in 1970
My problem is I can't control this show. Can't. We're going to have to stop the show. When I raise my hand, you may not speak. There was a man standing there in the audience. I don't know what side he's on. I don't care what side he's on. He deserves to speak. All of you are hogging the microphone. Okay. Where were you? I even forgot where you were. Yeah. Well, that's all right. It's unfortunate that I had to get down there, but I have to have
that's
control.
okay. I have 2 questions. I understand both their sides. They're against killing animals and stuff like that. They have that right. I understand their side. They like the hunting as a sport and everything like that. If hunting's so bad, why don't the government step in and pass laws to stop them? Why has it been going on for so long?
Is that a question? To whom are you addressing?
I would say to them. If it's so bad, and you
Who's them?
That side.
Well, Sally,
Cleve-
I don't know their names.
just like we have semi-automatic weapons that are still on the streets because of the power of the National Rifle Association, the hunting lobby has power, has historically had power, has taken over control of state fish and game agencies. They're not wildlife agencies, they're fish and game. They're producers of game for these people. Slowly, things are changing. The number of hunters is declining. More and more people are against the idea of gratuitous violence to animals because that's what it is. This is not the 17th century when perhaps hunting served some useful purpose for subsistence or clothing. This is the late 20th century when we have alternatives. We can go out with a camera, we can go out with a walking stick, we can go out with binoculars.
All right,
You don't
now,
need to go out with an arrow.
Wayne, we have to ask, when somebody addresses you, you have to keep your answers a lot shorter. As to you and me and who are listening to this, my beef was with the exploitation of the videos. The hunters think what they think, the other people think what they think, and I have serious problems with that kind of exploitation, which I think some of you share. We'll discuss that when we return. All right, there we are. Now, we have a Lutheran minister who is in favor of Ted's videos and and believes very strongly that exploitation is the right thing. So may I ask you about that as a Lutheran, ordained Lutheran minister? Yeah. Can you explain, aside from the hunting, which we're not talking about, what Ted even himself sometimes says is done in humor, blood piling and things like that, as a minister, how do you justify that?
Blood and death are part of life. You asked earlier, Sally, about the sociological dimension. You didn't want to get into it, but really that is an issue to this, as you know. This kind of discussion wouldn't really be taking place on an American Indian reservation or in a rural area where people know that.
But we're not, you're discussing, with all due respect, Minister, you're discussing the hunting. I want to discuss making videos of blood and animals and bloodletting.
It's honest. Ted is honest. Again, you know, the issues kind of blend together, Sally, how you can separate that, but it is honest.
No, we're separating hunting for eating and making of videos with parts of animals and piling them up in blood. And I wondered how a minister...
That's what you do. I hunt, and when you gut an animal, you pile the guts up. You know, that is part of life. And that's the trouble with our society, is we are avoiding reality. We don't want to deal with death.
Sally, can I answer a question? I just want to ask the minister something. He sounds like a terrific fellow at a funeral, but I wouldn't really want him for the rest of the life, you know?
I
have hope beyond the funeral.
No,
certainly.
you might.
No, it's just interesting because I didn't know. Is that a thought of the Lutheran Church?
That's a basic biblical thought. Biblical theology deals with dying, and it deals the kosher laws, for goodness sakes, throughout the Pentateuch and the Torah, deal with this reality of life. And maybe the problem is people are biblically illiterate and don't know that. You know.
I have to admit that I am. If you had asked me whether the Lutherans were in favor, no way would I have said that I thought that was so. You were shaking your head.
Hi. I understand your point, and I understand your point, but what I don't understand, and this is not a question, this is just an opinion, why do you have to go about doing these videos so sadistically? My opinion is that's a sadistic attitude. And I think for this, all due respect to the clergy, I think this man, to have this kind of attitude, to agree with that video, that is just as sadistic.
Sally, I would like to respond to that if I could.
I
would like to respond to that opinion if I could.
Yes.
First of all, there was nothing sadistic about what I did. I killed my animals just like you pay someone to kill your chicken McNuggets, except I did it, and I admit, I wrongfully joked about the killing equation.
The real Ted Nugent please stand up?
Yeah, which is it?
Good job. Good job. That was my first statement to you today, is that I was being a smart aleck in that video because it was for my own personal use, being silly on a honeymoon.
The
where
minister
my testosterone
agreed
was up
with you that that was the thing to do. I pointedly asked the minister, is this just Ted's joke? And
well,
the minister said,
he's not condoning my smart aleckness. He's condoning the elements of the death that's in the video.
Hunting videos are made for hunters.
Oh, they are.
And hunters love them. They really enjoy them.
Terrific.
Just like a golf video is made for golfers.
Oh, we're not meant to see them then.
Anybody can see him, but not everybody has to go see Andrew Dice Clay. I mean, he has a specific audience.
People on drugs.
Sally, it just shows the real face of hunting. That's it. Now, Ted can sanitize it for national television, but when he didn't think that someone was going to watch it,
I'm not sanitizing anything.
No.
I was boar hunting yesterday, and I got some terrific chops. And I had a great day. I don't go to the supermarket and buy stuff and hire someone to kill my stuff for me.
I don't know how many people belong to these groups over there, but there are millions and millions of people, especially out west, who really love hunting. And frankly, if that's their recreation, I don't think it's any of their business.
Sally,
they're not breaking any law. They're enjoying their food.
7% of the people in this country hunt. When we had the mountain lion thing in California, 4% hunted. Hunting is on the way out. And the reason it's on the way out is because they have a B-O-R-E, not B-O-A-R, like Ted Nugent.
all right, one question.
Hunting is on the way out because there's less and less places to hunt because of people and population.
Here we go again.
Crowding the planet.
This is really an interesting topic, and I'm divided. I agree with some of the points that you make, and I agree with some of the points that you make. The thing I don't understand is why you're taking a topic as serious as this and you're degrading it with your mudslinging, calling each other names. I don't understand it. It's too serious. It's too serious.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back. I heard the minister say, putting words in my mouth. We were talking, maybe I'm more used to being on my feet sometimes, but I said, hunting aside, let's talk about the exploitation of the video. I remember you saying, I condone that, or that's okay.
No, I said the video is showing the truth.
Oh, okay.
The truth. And that it is biblical. You asked me about that. We have trouble dealing with truth in this society. We really
I'll agree.
do.
On that we'll agree.
In some ways, there's I feel, a very definite anti-Judeo-Christian thrust behind this as well.
Behind the video?
No, not behind the video. I guess my frustration, Sally, is there's so many issues interconnected in this discussion that it's frustrating to be asked about the gut pile and not be allowed to get into the spiritual dimensions of what's really taking place in the video. Ted made the video. I said he's...
Did you find the video spiritual?
A gut pile is not particularly spiritual.
No, but is the video spiritual?
The reverence for life is very spiritual, and Ted has a reverence for life. Truthfully, Sally.
What, Sally? We can't hear up here. I thought he said he has reverence for life.
Hunters happen to love animals
Earlier,
and their
And the minister
survival.
join them when they come with the white coats and go with them?
You're the one
That's not fair, Cleveland.
We don't much
That's not fair. All right. Wait. Yes, ma'am.
I'm speaking as a mother, and I would like to say that if my child was watching your video and they're enamored of you because of your talent, I would be awfully angry if they started to pick up on some of the feelings that you have about life and death.
Good for
Yes.
you. Well, good for you.
And I don't condone that children should be brought up to believe that everything is rosy, but they learn lessons in life by experience from themselves. I don't want them to have to watch you and assume that everything is...
What if they watch
Excuse me, I
somebody
think
that's
I
on
have the right to
drugs?
respond to this.
Yes, you
Sally?
do. You have very little bit of time.
I'll give you a very little succinct answer.
Wait,
I
let
don't
me-
know you, and I assure you, you don't know me. I made a silly video. If I sang a song like Wang Dang Sweet... What is that? Ted's Psyche? That's a funny rock and roll song. I made a silly video, has nothing to do with my reverence for life and my understanding of my responsibilities
Ted, was it
with
only
wildlife.
one video?
Pardon me?
There was only one?
I made the one hunting video,
What about
the
Archer's
down-to-earth video, and I
Africa,
also
Ted?
had an Archer's Africa that just basically told
Where he
about
hunts
Africa.
in South Africa
Sally.
before apartheid was.
I just wanted to know if there was one video or more than one.
There's two videos. There's a
We'll take
down-to-earth video and an Archer's
tell us
Africa.
We'll take a
Another
break. We'll be right back.
Oh,
Ted's very beautiful wife said, I'm not a hunter, and I'm his wife, and I'd like to talk. And I said, why not?
Well, I have an interesting angle. I think a lot of the people here are either anti-hunting or pro-hunting. I'm a non-hunter. Before I met Ted 2 years ago and before we got married, the only thing that I knew about hunting is the way Johnny Carson depicted the Gomer hunter character on TV. I was never around any hunters. But what I did was follow Ted and made the videos and learned about how animals live and actually saw a doe deer kicking the heck out of a fawn for the last piece of food. Do you think I would do this to my son?
Sally, I'm from a hunting family, Sinead. I grew up with a father and brothers who killed animals, pheasants, deer, you name it. I got a shotgun for my 12th birthday. Every one of my siblings is now a very devoted anti-hunter. They see what it does to the environment. My brother, who was in Vietnam, said that that is the experience that changed his mind about hunting as he lay there in his own blood, which, by the way, Ted defecated and urinated in his own pants for 10 days prior to going to the draft board.
Wait, I want to hear more about this one.
What was that?
In the Detroit,
Very important. This is a very serious hunting issue now.
in the Detroit Free Press interview, Ted.
You know, that was taken from a hippie rock and roll magazine that they made up a story one time. I got out of the draft with a 1Y
Ted,
college
there's
deferment.
so many Ted Nugents, I barely
No, there's
know.
only one. He's very much alive.
Anyway, people can change. is
Let her
my
go, Sal.
point.
This is
My
great.
whole family.
Yeah, but it's unfair if she's saying something that's not true.
For a transcript of this program, send $3 to Transcripts, Sally Jessy Raphael, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. Or call 212-227-READ.
Perhaps we'll say, and the beat goes on, thank all of you for being our guests today.
Some members of our audience will receive, and a promotional fee has been provided by